welcome back to the SimTech podcast. Today we're going to be looking at Laydell's Mama Anne, and to help me to do that, I've brought along some very special guests. Special guests, would you like to introduce yourself? We'll come over to you, Michelle, first.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm one of the education consultants for Laydell here in the UK. Thanks for having me on the podcast today. Looking forward to it.
And Lee?
Hello, I'm Lee Metcalf. I'm the lead education technician at Bradford Royal Infirmary in West Yorkshire.
So today we're going to look at doing a little bit of a demo on Mama Anne, and Michelle, you're going to be doing it. And what can we expect?
Oh, we can expect as many clinical features as I can remember when I'm doing the demo, but obviously trying to keep it short and sweet. And just some of the main features and the nice automated features of the birthing simulator.
All right, well, Brill, well, thank you very much. What we'll do now is we'll lead straight into the video and then we'll come back afterwards to get some questions.
Thanks for allowing us the opportunity to do this podcast for you, to introduce Mama Anne. I know that it's been a long time coming to have something that's high fidelity as Mama Anne, and we're really excited to share our Mama Anne simulator with you all. I know that a lot of you that are listening to this podcast are probably familiar with some Laydell products that we have. This probably is by far our highest fidelity one that we have in terms of birthing simulator. So welcome to the podcast. I hope you enjoy it, and when we finish this podcast we'll lead into a question and answer session. So hopefully if I don't cover anything now, then you'll be able to have your opportunity to ask any questions later on. So we'll get started. So most of you in the simulation technician community will be familiar with Laydell products, or hopefully you have, and Mama Anne functions from Leap software. So again, if you're not familiar with Leap software, when you if you end up having Mama Anne simulator, obviously you'll cover all this sort of stuff on a getting started course that we would deliver with Mama Anne. So the first thing when you log on to Leap, it'll ask you if you're running manual or automatic mode. So for those of you that are driving in your cars listening to this podcast and you can't actually see the live video, hopefully you'll be able to watch it a bit later on, but I'll try and explain everything as best as I can throughout. So it says manual or automatic mode, so we're going to select manual mode even though we still set the simulator up in a pretty automated way, which is really nice and makes our life a lot easier when we're trying to prepare for simulation, control the simulator and do all the other stuff that we do when we're running around trying to prepare for simulation. So we're going to select manual mode. You should be able to see in the bottom right hand corner of the screen everything that I'm doing as I'm going along. And for those of you that are just listening and not watching the live demo, hopefully you can catch up on it later on. So for this, I'm just going to select that I've got a healthy patient, so I've got a healthy mum that's just about to give birth. And then it brings you up a screen to say what type of delivery are you going to be doing. So this is where you can select like an OA or an OP, so your normal type of deliveries, or you can select a breech delivery. For this one, if we're running a shoulder dystocia scenario, we would select OA or OP delivery, which is our normal delivery, and then when we go further into Leap, it will then ask us if we want to add a complication, and we'd add shoulder dystocia on as a complication. So we've got 4 different options here. We've got cephalic delivery OA or OP, and then we've got little images to show you which way you place the baby into the simulator. We've got breech delivery and we've got pre and post delivery. So if you were setting up for a postpartum hemorrhage or a complication rather than a delivery, so whether it's before the delivery or after delivery, you want to have a bleed or something like that, then we'd select pre and post. But for this, I'm just going to select normal delivery just for the purpose of the demonstration. So I'm going to select OA. It then prompts you afterwards to say, have you put the baby in this way? Okay, so it shows you a picture, so it's nice and easy, and then it gives you the option to say, yes, I've put the baby in as you told me to, or no, please show me how. Then if you need to, you can put, no, please show me how, and then it will give you a demonstration of how you place the baby in. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how you place the baby in. For those of you that know what Sim Mom looks like, she's very different from her, and everything kind of clicks into place as opposed to lots of different working parts. So on her abdomen, you can't really see on the camera, but just where my hand is placed, there's a little clip, so I'm just going to lift that off and then lift the abdomen out. And then inside the abdomen, you've got a little pocket here, which is where the placenta goes, and then you've got this little hook which slots in and out. So you've got two. You've got one which is your cephalic delivery module. Okay, this is what we're going to use for normal deliveries, and then you've got another one that you can place in. So depending on what delivery you're doing, if you're doing a breech one, you can put this one in, and it tells you what it is on the back. And then if you're doing this one for your normal delivery or your shoulder dystocia. So I'm just going to select this one, and you simply just lift up the clip at the back, and then that just slots into place. And then you should hear it click. Okay, we're then going to place our baby in, and we just need to lubricate the baby a little bit first. I'm going to pop some gloves on. So if any of you have used Sim Mom before, which was our last model, you need quite a lot of lubrication to be able to get the baby out. Mama Ann, her lubrication, you don't need as much, so just couple of pumps of lubrication there, and it's quite oily as well. So once you've lubricated the baby and the placenta, you don't have to keep putting loads of lubrication on. Just a couple of pumps will do you quite a few deliveries. So you need less lubrication than with our Sim Mom. Okay, you can see on here you've got two placentas that come with Sim Mom. We've got our normal placenta, and then we've got one which looks exactly the same, however it's got this magnetised fragment that comes out. So when you run postpartum hemorrhage scenarios, you can place the fragment into the uterus and leave it in there, so when the placenta comes out, it does look like some of the placenta's missing, which would obviously indicate that there's going to be a postpartum hemorrhage. I'm just going to connect the placenta to the baby, and then pop a little bit of lubricant on there as well, and then you just place the placenta into the pouch. And then we're just going to place the baby in. At the back of the baby, just where the pelvis is at the back, this is where it clips in. Okay, so it clips into these two little hooks at the back there. You can place the baby inside, and then push, slot the baby in. And that's it, ready to go. And then to pop the abdomen on, it's got these two little feet at the bottom here, and they just slot in to the bottom part, which you probably can't see inside, but they just slot into the bottom part there. And then just give it a nice swift push and click into place so the abdomen's on, and then you can confirm on your leap that you've loaded the baby in, as you should. It will then prompt me to kind of set up any monitoring that I might want. So how many contractions do I want before mom gives birth? So you can either add the EFM history or just carry on without it. If you want to add it once you start the scenarios where you can add it afterwards. So just for the demonstration purposes, I'm just going to put start session. Okay, and it gives you a bit of a timeline of events here. So we set it up, and then once we've set it up to when we want simulator to give birth, it will then show us what's happening as she's giving birth and going through the labour process. So I'm going to set up delivery, and just for this I'm going to say we'll have 10 contractions every 10 minutes. If I wanted to select like a shoulder dissociator, I can add a complication on, and I'm going to deliver the head within 3 minutes. Okay, you've got a little volume button here as well, so this, obviously, if you want her to make the noises as she's having contractions, and then you can put that on. And also, what's nice about Mama Ann is when she's having a contraction, and for all of you midwives out there, nice feature is when she's having a contraction, you can actually feel her having a contraction as well. Okay, so I'm going to activate delivery, and you can now see there's a little timeline telling me what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. So at the moment we're going through a stage where she's got 3 pushing contractions, and then we're going to get some crowning. Just going to place her into a position where you can probably see a little bit better. When the baby starts coming out as well, the baby will, the puck that's inside, it helps with turning the baby as the baby comes out as well, to add to that realism. If you do want to change any of the EFM options, or there's bits that you want to add on and you want to toggle the CTG on the patient monitor, you can do that also by changing your screen on the patient monitor to EFM monitoring. Just see if I can put it on so you can see it. As she's giving birth, I'm just going to talk through some of the airway features as well. So she does have a few more features that you can use on her from an airway management perspective. So she has got tongue swelling, so you can automatically put tongue swelling on as well. So maybe you're not doing a scenario that's just giving birth, and maybe you're doing like a medical scenario, say anaphylaxis or something like that, some sort of facial trauma. You can use any airways in her, so oropharyngeal, nasopharyngeal, eye gel, LMA, ET tube. Recommended size ET tube 7.5, and you can use a laryngoscope. She has got vocal cords, so you can intubate her and use a bag valve mask. As with all of our simulators, don't use any medical gases or oxygen on her. We can see that the head's coming out now, and on our timeline of events here it should say head delivered. So the head will come out, and obviously you can see as it twists when it comes out, and then when the baby's delivered, obviously we'll assist to get the baby out, and then we'll confirm the baby's delivered, and then we can reset and go again with another delivery. Gives you a little picture as well of what should be happening with the baby. and then you'll give birth to the placenta, and then we confirm that the placenta's been delivered as well. So I'm now just going to run through a quick clinical features from head to toe, and then after that we'll talk about like postpartum hemorrhage and some other bits and bobs that come with her as well. So starting from the head, on Mama Ann she has got reactive pupils, and you can change the pupil size, we can change her blinking frequency, and we can change the reaction of light for your perler. And we can open and close her eyes as well. So I'll just put a couple of different features on so you can see. Just change her eyes. So just change her eyes to dilated. So yeah, she's got all reactive pupils. You don't have to change them. You can just control everything through your leap. As previously mentioned, she'll take any airways, and when you're using any airways, you just use the normal Laerdal lubricant that comes with her. Airway and breathing, you can swell her tongue and you can breathe for her using bag valve mask. You can also put some resistance on the lungs there as well. But the main focus of her is for obs and gynae, so obviously you can't close her airway or anything like that, give her laryngospasm or anything. It's just purely tongue swelling and resistance on the lungs. We can use, you can do CPR on her. Obviously, as most simulators, just make sure that she is treated as we would treat a real person, and we're not going to start jumping up and down her chest when she's breathing and talking to us and blinking away. So just make sure that if you do any CPR on her, that she is in some sort of a cardiac arrest, or you put the respirations to 0. You do get your QCPR feedback on here, so it gives you the depth feedback of your CPR compressions. Pop up with a timer in the middle for telling you how long you've been off the chest for doing compressions, and then this section here, if she was connected with bag valve mask, it will show if you're doing effective ventilations or not. The CPR history, so you can see the consistency of your compressions and your ventilations, obviously to make sure it's been consistent over that time period, so you can use that for part of your debriefs. EFM options, so if you want the baby to, in your scenario, maybe the baby to be distressed or have fast heart rate, slow heart rate, etc., we can add on, we can change all the stuff in the fetal monitoring. So it will display on your patient monitor, and you can change that as you run in the scenario, or you can preset it before you start the scenario. You can also toggle your CTG on here, but on the instructor tablet, on the instructor laptop, I'd probably rather just have it on the actual patient monitor as opposed to having it on your laptop, but you can do either. Well, it's a personal preference thing, really. In sounds, she has heart murmurs and lots of different lung sounds and bowel sounds as well. So I'll just put on the picture there for those of you that are watching the video. If you've seen Leap software before, on if you've got a SimMan or something, then it's quite similar. So you've got an array of sounds that you can put on, and obviously you can talk through your headset as well, and you can be the patient, or you can upload your own vocal sounds. Down the bottom here, you've got circulation bleeding, so if we are going to set up like a postpartum hemorrhage, this is where we control the bleeding. With her features, she has got bleeding where you can either she can bleed directly from the uterus, and you can place the magnet of the placenta, the fragment that's left in there, in the uterus and leave it in there, or we can connect a clean bleed mat, so instead of having it's really, really useful if you're doing lots of postpartum hemorrhage scenarios in the same day and you just want that quick setup and you don't want to, it's a lot of cleaning down. The nice thing about the bleed mat as well is they come up with these pads that you can wash. So basically the bleed will go into the plastic mat, and then you've got these reusable sheets here, so you can just place one in, take it out when it gets saturated, and then wash it and then reuse it. You get quite a few spare ones of these for the simulator. can also catheterise her. She's anatomically correct, so we can catheterise her, and there's a tank in the leg here, which is where we can set up for our postpartum hemorrhage bleeding and our urine as well. So we've got a yellow cap for urine, then under there we've got an internal blood reservoir which connects directly either to the uterus or the clean bleed mat. And then we've also got an external bleed mat as well. So it will take the blood from the internal reservoir first, and then you can set up this 5 litre one as a backup, particularly if you're running quite a lot of postpartum hemorrhage simulations over and over again. Then you've got plenty of blood that you can set up there for the day. It will automatically take it from the external reservoir after the internal reservoir blood has been used. She does have some seizures as well, so for those of you that are watching the video, I'll just pop some seizures on so you can see tonic-clonic seizures. So quite useful for your like preeclampsia scenarios that you might be running, just to add to the fidelity of that. Okay, and you can pop high seizure on as well, so pretty quite realistic to add to your scenarios. Okay, vital signs are the same as any other kind of like vital sign settings that you've used on LEAP before. So you just change them automatically as you would do normal, and the rest of LEAP is pretty much the same as what you've probably used before. With regards to bleeding, when we at the beginning of the session we set up what delivery we were going to do, so we're in manual delivery. If you wanted to set up for postpartum hemorrhage, obviously we're presuming that the baby's already been born and that the mum's now having some sort of complications. You have a uterus that you can pop in there. It's much more realistic, and you can connect this tube to the bleeding tank. So if you wanted the blood to come directly out of the vagina from the uterus and go like onto the bed, onto the Inco pad, and have that sort of set up, then you can put the uterus in and connect it directly to the blood tank. Or if you wanted to connect the clean bleed mat and her bleeding to clean bleed mat, you can set that up. So it's the same connection, it just depends on how you want the blood to come out on a postpartum hemorrhage. That's probably about most things covered. Obviously, I haven't shown you all the different deliveries, but hopefully you've got a better idea of how everything functions, and everything's nicely automated. And yeah, I'm really excited to start delivering education to people on Mama Ran. She's a really nice simulator, and I hope that you all enjoy it just as much as I do. And if you have any questions, then get in touch. Thanks for listening.
Well, thank you for that, Michelle. That was a lovely demonstration there. Was there anything else that you'd like to mention before we move on to the questions there, Michelle?
Just that I think that there's quite a lot of features that obviously we had to condense. So there is lots of features that I may not have mentioned in the live video. And there are just a few that I'd like to mention that maybe I didn't do in the live demonstration. So there are different positions that you can put Mama Ran into. So even though she's quite a heavy, approximately 95-pound simulator, you can, she has got locking mechanisms in the arm. So you can put her onto all fours, and you can put her into like Muck Roberts position. And unlike Sim Mom, where you have to use a tool to lock her into position, she's already articulate enough to hold herself into those positions as well. So putting her into stirrups, or however you want to do your birthing simulations, she can go into different positions. Obviously, we only demonstrated one automatic module as well, so we just did a normal delivery. But just to reiterate, you can do your OA, OP, shoulder dystocia and breech deliveries. And also there's lots more automations with her, including like her pupils are automated, so you can change like the blinking frequency, or you can change the pupil the pupil size or whether it's reactive to light or slow reactive. She also has convulsions again, which we didn't put on in the live demo. And she has a cuttable cord. So you can add a little extension onto the umbilical cord and then fill it with a bit of blood, and you can cut that as well during your scenarios. The baby and the mum are both anatomically correct as well. So the baby has like palpable fontanelle, so you know which way the baby's coming out, and anatomical landmarks to identify presentation of baby, natural head flex and open mouth for the baby, and also the mum has palpable contractions, which I think I did mention in the video, but I thought I'd just re-mention it. But yeah, there's lots of different features. I think I've covered the main ones in the video. So I won't
For me,
go on
Michelle,
to
there was one feature that I would have loved to see on there. How come you can't control the airway of Mama Ann like you can do with SimMam? So, you know, you make difficult airway, those kind of things.
Yeah, good question. Again, it's a simulator designed for OBS rather than trauma. So if we had like one simulator, a lot of people ask her, why can't you just have a simulator that does absolutely everything? I mean, because of the electronics and the switchboards that are inside them and the technology, to have everything in one simulator, it would need to be the size of a giant. So the focus of this simulator is mainly OBS, and even though you can't sort of close her airway like you can with SimMan 3G or SimMan 3G Plus, you can still do all of your CPR features. And she's also got QCPR as well, which I don't know if I did mention. So you get your feedback on resuscitation scenarios with her as well, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's just because I'm sick of putting wigs on SimMan and pillows up his top, you know. I'm just hoping that one day we'll have that kind of method. Lee, so you have a Mama Ann. How long have you had it?
Yes, we took delivery back in April. So yeah, just a few months now, but yes, it's been really good.
Did you do a demo on all models before you received Mama Ann, or did you just go straight for Mama Ann?
We previously had a birthing mannequin from another manufacturer that was quite old. We sort of hosted it for our maternity department. But when we were looking around and starting to have a think about, you know, replacing the mannequin, because we have quite a few. We've got 3 different SimMen mannequins and a couple of other mannequins as well from Liddell. Then it naturally felt like, you know, the best place to go to. We were familiar with the software, familiar with quite a lot of the internals on the mannequins. So yeah, it felt like the natural place to go.
And how's it been for you using it so far?
It's been really good. It's been really good. You know, we've made quite a song and dance, to be honest with you, about the fact that we were the first ones in the UK to have it. Everybody that's used it so far, whether it's been in demonstrations or whether it's been in live simulation, then, you know, the feedback's been has been really, really positive. You know, the features that Michelle's mentioned, the easy use for us, then yeah, it's been a really positive experience so far.
Did you use SimMum before?
No, we didn't have a SimMum. We had a Noel mannequin. So and again, it was quite an old mannequin that had been hosted by us just for one particular course. So yeah.
Can you tell the difference now between using them? Is there a stark difference?
Oh, absolutely. You know, absolutely. You know, just pretty much really in every aspect. It's not just the fact that it's a newer mannequin. The additional features, again, the things that Michelle's mentioned, the ease of use for us. Then yeah, it's just been a really positive experience so far.
Yeah, one of the things that I hated most about SimMum is that sometimes you could never tell if the birth was going to be successful. Sometimes it might get blocked or stoppage, you know, and then you'd have to break kind of immersion going in, or, you know, and they'd have to somehow pull it out because, you know, something got trapped, an arm or a leg. How reliable is Mama Ann out of, you know, how many times you used it? Do you see these kind of traps or false births or whatever you want to call them?
We've not experienced that so far, so it's like anything, isn't it? It's a huge piece of technology, and occasionally they have their glitches and wobbles, but it's not something which we've experienced so far with on issues like that.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would change about it at the moment? Is there any kind of feedback that you'd give Michelle for further use?
I think the only thing that, and I think we came across this more of when we were sort of doing our learning and Michelle was with us, that she could be a little bit tricky to get onto the, if you were putting her kneeling up and resting on her elbows. Again, obviously she's quite heavy, understandably. So
she's pregnant.
She's festively plump, isn't she? So that was the only thing which just felt like it sometimes didn't feel like that was you was 100% confident she was going to stay in the position that you put her in. But I'm sure as we get a bit more used to it, and maybe there might be a few little tweaks to the locking mechanisms or however it works, then that'll be bottomed out.
I've got to admit, it does make me slightly nervous when people start talking about moving these mannequins, because I generally like to have mine on the bed, it stays on the bed, and I move the beds as much as possible. But when you start saying, look, we're going to put it into a kneeling position, it does, for some reason, it just makes me really nervous, because these are expensive, and if they're ever going to break, it's because people are moving them incorrectly, really.
Absolutely.
I assume it's going to be like probably a 4-man job to put it in these positions.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah, and probably not something which has got to be done quickly. So
yeah. All right, Michelle, what's the deal with Sim Mum now that Mama Anne's come out? Is Sim Mum retiring, or is she still there?
Oh, very good question. I knew this would come up. So basically, Sim Mom, those people that have still got Sim Mom, she still remains a valuable high fidelity birthing simulator, particularly suited for full body immersive OBS and maternal emergency training. However, Mama Anne represents Laerdal's next generation solution, designed with a focus on rapid setup, modularity, inclusivity, and clinical realism. So while Sim Mom continues to be supported, Mama Anne is positioned as a more flexible and efficient alternative for many training environments. If you have a Sim Mom that you still use regularly, and obviously we still love Sim Mom as a simulator, you will still get support, and you just report any issues as you would do as normal. Anyone that's recently purchased a Sim Mom, you can no longer purchase them. However, those people that have recently purchased Sim Moms, you are still going to get support for a minimum of 5 years. So for those people that are worried about what's going to happen with their Sim Mom, now we've got Mama Anne, is the bottom line is you can't now purchase Sim Mom because we have moved on to Mama Anne. However, if you do have a Sim Mom, you will continue to get support as usual from Laerdal.
I think, well, you think you've already kind of covered it. What are the main differences between the two mannequins and Michelle, between like Mama Anne and Sim Mum? There is obviously a lot of differences there, isn't there, that you've kind of covered throughout your demonstration. But if you had maybe 3 major points, what are the points that would separate them?
Okay, my first major point, and obviously particularly for probably most people listening to this, are simulation technicians or academics or clinicians that listen to this podcast as well. So I think the big one for most people listening to the podcast for me would be setup time. Mama Anne has a rapid setup time, and she's very intuitive as well, whereas Sim Mom can be a bit fiddly and a bit more complex to set up, and it takes a bit more time to set up. Mama Anne's very rapid and automated and intuitive. I'd say the actual delivery system itself would be my second big point, is the automatic delivery module. Even though Sim Mom is, you can set her up for automatic delivery module, there's quite a lot of working parts that go in her to be able to set her up for automatic delivery module. The automatic delivery system on Mama Anne is very slick, and I'm sure that Lee would agree. I know that you didn't have Sim Mom before, Lee, but actually setting her up for automatic delivery is very, very slick on Mama Anne, and will save a lot of time with simulation technicians. And my third one, I would say mobility and positioning. Again, Sim Mom, you can put her onto all fours and put her into stirrups and do muck roberts, but it's a lot more difficult because you need an extra tool set to be able to lock legs and arms, and her arms don't lock into place. So with Mama Ann, you can lock her arms into place, but you don't need a tool for her to keep her leg positioned. So if you want to put her into muck roberts or onto all fours, you don't need an extra tool to be able to do that. So again, most of it saves you time. And just ease of use in general. She's very automated. Everything clicks into place nicely.
I think
takes
it feels very much like you've taken on a lot of users' advice from Sim Mum, and you kind of put it into action. Is that true? Have you been listening to users?
Absolutely. There's one thing I'd say about Lairdale, and I'm not just being biased because I work for Lairdale, but Lairdale pride themselves on customer feedback. So if there are issues with simulators, and I hope that people do agree, is that when they contact help desk, we do the best to rectify it. We have direct contact with like product managers, product developers, so people that actually design these simulators. We have direct contact with them, and we feed everything back. And we like to pride ourselves on regular updates with software, etc. The simulation technicians will always know that we're always sending out software updates, and these are listening to customer feedback and rectifying issues that people feed in. So it's really important that if there are issues, that people do feed them back in to the correct means of through the help desk, and we do our best to rectify these issues. And yeah, as you say, we do listen to customer feedback, and then when new simulators are launched, it's generally from what the people on the ground have said about the products.
And what's the cost of Mama Ann then? How much does she? Because obviously a brand new mannequin, very shiny, not many out there. Obviously, the price is going to be. Is it an issue? How much?
Oh well. So obviously I'm an education consultant, so I don't normally deal with prices and sales. However, the exact pricing for Mama Ann's not publicly listed and is typically provided upon request. However, it's positioned as a premium high fidelity simulator, likely comparable or slightly above Sim Mom in cost due to its advanced features and modular design. Notably though, which is a lovely feature as well, each Mama Ann purchase includes a Mama Birthie, so low fidelity simulation is still really, really important. So those low fidelity simulations that you need to do, you've got Mama Birthie, which is a portable birthing simulator at no extra cost, and every time you purchase a Mama Ann or a Sim Mom for that matter, Lairdale donates a second unit to a global partner programme with low middle income countries. And as always, to obtain a quote, Lairdale encourages organisations to request pricing directly through your sales team or local Lairdale representative.
Lee, she dodged that quite nicely, didn't she?
It was very good that she'd make a great politician, would Michelle?
How much did you pay for it, Lee?
Well, I don't know if Michelle wants to say that. I mean, obviously, it all depends on what you're looking for and all the rest of it. And I don't want to get into how much things cost, but it's a pretty penny. But I think having looked at maybe not the equivalent of this of Mama Ann with other manufacturers, but certainly looking at some other mannequins with other manufacturers that we've looked at. It's certainly there in the ballpark, and the Mama Birthie, which Michelle had mentioned there, we've used that quite extensively, and I'd also had great feedback from that. And
so can you describe what this kind of looks like? Because it's kind of a strap-on. It's very much like the Avbirth kind of situation, but low fidelity.
Yeah. So I suppose if you kind of imagine it, a sizable backpack that you would wear over the stomach. So, and we've used this in a sort of multitude of ways. One, we've put it on SimMan to sort of replicate a C-section delivery. as part of one of our big maternity training courses that we do. So they've used that, and again, the feedback from that's been really good. We've also just used it as a tabletop trainer as well, and that's been it's been sort of really useful in some of the sort of the demos that we've done around the hospital. We've used that as a tabletop trainer, and people have come up and, again, sort of using it as a C-section delivery. So anybody that we've sort of had engagement with, obstetrics, maternity, midwives, all those sorts of people, and they've been sort of quite heavily involved as part of us having this new mannequin. And again, everybody's been very positive in the features of both Mama Ann and of Mama Bertie, so it's been positive. And I think for us as well here in Bradford, we decided to go for the dark skin model. We didn't have a dark skin adult mannequin. So we do have one of the smaller ones, sort of like a 6 to 9 month old mannequin, which is dark skin. But as for the adult mannequins, we didn't have any dark skin mannequins. So again, the feedback and the reception on that has been excellent. I mean, from us here, I think we're around 43% staff members that are from diverse backgrounds. Obviously, Bradford has a very diverse population. So the fact that we can deliver training to this level, with a dark skin mannequin and the extra challenges that they, that might bring for the clinical staff, then has been a real big plus point for us.
Can I just ask you what the seizures are like there, Lee? Because obviously sometimes our seizures can be a little underwhelming. Sometimes we don't even get noticed. What's the seizures like?
I think, I get what you say. I think sometimes, particularly on Simman, depending on if they're not looking at the arm, then
it's just literally the hands that shake.
Yeah, it can be, but it is. This is a bit more of a sort of a fuller body seizure. So I think, even for somebody like me with a first aid badge sort of thing, even I can notice that it's seizing. So it's definitely more of a fuller body seizure rather than just the arm shaking down the side.
Brilliant. What if someone wants a demo, Michelle? Are you giving trials or anything like that out?
Yeah, absolutely. The same as if you wanted, if you're interested in purchasing Mama Ann, same way as you'd normally request it. So we recommend, if you want just more information on Mama Ann, just visit the Lairdale, just Google Lairdale Mama Ann, and it will come up with any more information on there. Contact Lairdale directly via the support and contact page. Again, if you go onto the Mama Ann website, there's a contact page at the bottom. Then someone will get back to you, or just reach out to your local Lairdale representative through the country selector. Or if you know who your territory manager is, contact them directly, and they will be able to arrange a demo on your site.
What's the turnaround for them? Have you got them in stock, or do they have to wait?
That's a good question. I'm not actually sure what the turnaround time on them is at the moment. That's something that, again, just contact your local Lairdale representative and they'll be able to tell you what the lead time is on them, because it varies as well depending on the demand.
Brilliant. And Lee, final word, what would you say to someone who maybe be on the fence thinking about getting a Mama Ann or not? How would you convince them? I
mean, all I can say is that, so far we've had no issues. Obviously, yes, it is a big, expensive purchase. There's no two ways about that. But we went predominantly with Mama Ann because we like the Liddell software, we like the platform, we like the service. So from that point of view, then we've had no reasons for concern. And just to add that a little bit more, obviously, if somebody does want a demo, please, as Michelle said, go through your rep. But if somebody is relatively local to Yorkshire and wants a trip to the City of Culture to come and see us, then speak with your rep. We are happy to support the Liddell reps with a demo if you want to come and see it in the flesh. If maybe with enough notice, we can maybe even arrange, for somebody to come on a day where she's being used as part of simulation training. But yeah, book through the rep and they'll speak to us and we'll do whatever we can to support.
Yeah, I'm a massive advocate of Mama Ann. I've seen it a few times now, and each time I'm more impressed. And it's high on at the top of our agenda of our next purchase. So, brilliant. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for coming and speaking today. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.